Hello friends, today we are here to study about an interesting chapter for class 6, Diversity in the Living World. What is diversity? Diversity means variety or the differences. It also includes biodiversity. Biodiversity is nothing but the differences or the variety of the things or the living organisms found on the earth. Plants, animals, fungi, microorganisms, they together make up biodiversity. The diversity for the living things we are going to study in this chapter. Before that, we must know what are the living things around us. The living things that are found in the different places are known as their habitat. Now, what is habitat? Habitat is a place where we all live. Basically, the living beings live. So, we can also classify the habitat in two forms, land and water. The terrestrial habitat is also known as the land habitat, or we can say that the living organism which lives on forest, desert, mountain, grasslands are known as terrestrial habitat. There are some organisms also which lives in water like ponds, river, lake and ocean. Those living organisms live in aquatic habitat. To understand this, we should also understand what are the characteristics of the living things. These are the basic things we all know. Like living things need food. They need food to grow, to live. They breathe, they grow, they move from one place to another. They reproduce. They respond to stimuli, they excrete waste, they have a particular lifespan. These are all the living things characteristics. These characteristics help us to understand the difference between living and non-living. We have already studied in the previous classes the basic differences. Let us revise it one more time. Living things grow naturally, whereas non-living thing doesn't grow. Living thing needs food and water, whereas non-living doesn't need any food. Living thing also respire, reproduce, and they respond to surrounding. Non-living things does not respire, does not reproduce, and do not respond at all. Now, for studying about the living organism, first we need to classify them. And why the classification is needed? Because it will organize the living organism according to their similarities and differences. It will make us study more easier. We can identify the organisms according to their nature. They also show the relationship among organisms and to avoid confusion by the local names. Classification of any living organisms are important. Now let us start with studying the classification of plants. Plants can be classified according to their sizes. For example, herbs, shrubs. Plants can also be classified as their sizes, the nature of stems also. For example, herbs are very small in sizes and they have a very green and few branches on them. For example, tomatoes and mints. Shrubs are medium-sized plants whose stems are not very thick and they have branches near the base of the stem. You have seen the lemon, rose or hibiscus around you. They're the perfect example of shrubs. Trees, they are more tall than 3 meters high and their stem is hard, woody and quite thick. Neem, mango, peepal, they're very good example of a tree. Climbers, as the name suggests, they climb because they can be very tall with the help of any support. Their stems are very soft, but they need support to stand. Examples are grapevine, money plant, pea, etc. Creepers, they creep along a ground. Because of the soft stem, they cannot stand properly. They need to creep on the surface. Examples, strawberry, mint. Now the plants can also be classified according to the patterns on the leaves. There are two types of patterns on the leaves. One is the reticulate and another one is the parallel variations. Reticulate is nothing but a net-like patterns of veins on both the sides of a thick middle veins. The best example is the hibiscus. Parallel veneation means the parallel veins. Banana leaves in the grass are the best example for it. These leaves does not make any net kind of structure, but they run parallel to each other. Now, the plants can also be classified according to the type of roots. We have already studied in the previous classes, there are two types of root system, that is taproot system and the fibrous root system. In a taproot system, the plant is consist of one main root and small side roots. Hibiscus, Sadabahar, they are the perfect example for the taproot system. Whereas in the fibrous root system, root appears smaller in sizes, thin roots, which arises from a base of the stem. The best example is lemongrass and grass. If we conclude them together, we can say that the plants with a taproot have reticulate veneation, which we can see in a chickpea, and the plant with fibrous roots have a parallel veneation, and the best example is nothing but wheat. Now let us have some root classification of animals. The animals can be grouped based on their habitat. For example, habitat can be divided of many parts. For example, terrestrial, aquatic, amphibian, aerial, and aerobials. The animals which can be also classified according to their food habitat. We all know that the herbivores are the plant-eating animal, carnivores are nothing but a meat-eating animal, and omnivores are both plant-eating as well as animal-eating. Animals can now also be classified according to the presence of backbones. Those animals which do have a backbone, or you can say the spinal column, they are classified as vertebrates. Now there are 5 types of vertebrates: fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals. They have a different kind of characteristic with them, and the perfect examples of fish, you can say they are cold-blooded and they give birth in the water. They lay eggs. Amphibians are the cold-blooded, they have gills and lungs, and they have a jelly-like eggs in water. Reptiles are also cold-blooded, they have lungs and scales. They also lay eggs on the land or live birth. Birds are warm-blooded. They have lungs, they have feather, and they lay hard eggs on the land. Mammals, on the other hand, are warm-blooded and have lungs, hair, they live birth and feed young men. On the other hand, there are invertebrate also. That means animals which do not have backbones. And the examples are butterflies, earthworm and the spiders. Snails, octopus, jellyfish, they are furthermore examples of the invertebrates. Now there is one more interesting topic in this chapter, and that is known as adaptation. What is adaptation? It is nothing but a feature that helps an organism survive in its habitat. The animals, the plants, they are very special because they are very prone to their environment. They know how to live in that environment. That term is known as adaptation. For example, camel stores fat and has a broad feet for deserts. Fish, they have a special type of gills and fins so that they can live in the water. Polar bear have a thick fur for the cold reason. Cactus have spine instead of leaves to reduce the water loss. That is why they are all adapted in their environment perfectly. Let us have a quick look upon the adaptation, how the camels in a hot desert are different from a camel in a cold desert. The camels live in a hot desert, usually have a long legs with a wide hooves which help them to walk on the sand without sinking. They have one hump. They also store food in the hump to survive when the food is scarce. Their hair are very short as the weather is very hot, and they live in a hot desert like a Thar desert. Whereas on the other hand, the camels who live in a cold desert, they have a short legs so that they can walk easily on the mountain regions. They usually have 2 humps. They store food in the humps. They shrink in late winters when the food is less because they are using those humps. They have a long hair to get themselves warm in a cold weather. They also live in a cold desert like Ladakh. Also on the other hand, The cactus, they have a thick, waxy skin. They also have a large fleshy stem. They have a spike. They have a shallow white spread of roots so that they can absorb more and more water from wherever it goes from the deserts. Let us have a quick look upon adaptation. What is adaptation? Adaptation means special features that help the plant and animal live in their habitat. Animal adaptation we have explained with the help of camel, polar bear, fish, chameleon. Plant adaptation means cactus, trees, desert plants. Now why it is important? Because it helps the living things to survive. They help them find their food and they also protect them from the danger. Animals and plants slowly adapt over many years. The nature of this plant and animals, the adaptation, they all come under nothing but the biodiversity. Why do we need biodiversity? What is the importance behind it? Biodiversity is important because it maintains the ecological balance. It provides food, medicine and shelters. Biodiversity also supports agriculture and it keeps the environment healthy and clean. They also protect the ecosystem. Because of its great importance, we need to conserve it. And how do we conserve it is a great question. We can protect our biodiversity by planting more and more trees. Avoiding the deforestation means cutting down of trees should be avoided, preventing pollution, protecting wildlife so that more and more plants and animals come and live in their habitat so that the biodiversity can be more classified or can be more expanded, and using natural resources very wisely. Before winding up this chapter, let us revise our key term. Biodiversity means the variety of living organisms, habitat, natural home of an organisms. Adaptation means features that help survival. Classification, grouping organisms based on similarities. Herbivore are the plant-eating animals, carnivores, flesh-eating animals, omnivores eat both plants and animals. Terrestrials, those animals which live on land, aquatic animals that lives in the water. Herbs, examples, mint and coriander. The example of shrubs are rose and hibiscus. For trees, we know mango and neem. Climbers, the best example, pea and the money plant. Creepers, pumpkin, watermelon. Herbivores, cow and deer. Carnivores, lion and tiger. Omnivores, human and bear. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Thank you.